Well, it's good to be back again on your screens. This is Let's Chat Show. My name is Colbeck, and I hope that you enjoyed our first premiere and you had a lot of things to say. Try as much as possible to bring in your comment and anything that you saw that you want us to really fix in our first premiere. Try and leave a comment for us anytime that you watch the video. You can also send an information as well to us on naventrix at gmail.com as well. And then we can also hear from all the people that are also sourcing out and watching all our programs across the world. This is Let's Chat Show. We are back again. Today's episode, we'll be talking a lot. We'll be talking about so many things that is really affecting us as people. What are some of the things that we can also contribute our quarters to make sure it motivates, it inspires, and it also helps someone who is watching us at the moment. But then before I do that, like I always say, I don't do this show alone. I do it with my team. And today we have a guest that is also passing through as well. So let me just go for a quick commercial break, and then I'll be able to introduce my team and the guest that is up on the show as well. Stay tuned.
Addy Fashion and Beauty just launched your jewelry line called Dede's Drawers. All of our drawers are uniquely handmade and picked with so much love and care, especially for you and your special event. Unique, and when I say unique, I meant unique, because you are unique. We offer custom-made drawers and wholesale services that can be requested 14 days prior to your event. Most of our designs are repeated at most twice. That is why I said you're unique. Find us on our Instagram page at ABByAddy_fashion_and_beauty. Our Facebook, find us on Abby Addy Fashion and Beauty. And you can find our stuff and purchase our stuff on our website at www.st.com/shop/.abbyfashionandbeauty. Send us email for any requests, comments, or questions at beauty.design87@gmail.com. We are here to serve you and make that beauty come out of you. By wearing our jewelry, you will feel beautiful and unique. We are available for all your jewelry needs and more. Thank you for shopping with us.
Yes, we are back from our commercial break, and like I said, this is Let's Chat Show. My name is Colbeck. I'm not doing the show alone. I'm doing it with my team, and I'm going to use this opportunity to introduce my team. I have Abiyadi, I have Lydia, I have Celeste Ford, I have Joseph, and then I have my guest that is passing through, Edmond Ofori, as well, up on the show today. They will be helping me make sure this show becomes a success, as always, that we do here. And it's also going to really inspire people that are watching all over the world. On today's topic, what are we talking about? We are asking that question. Do you think it is appropriate to allow teenagers to have access to contraceptives? Is it a good or is it a bad thing to do? This is the topic that we'll be discussing as well, and I'm sure you'll also be discussing in your various homes and to really see the possible solutions. Is it right? Is it good? And all that. But then, yes, at the moment, it's Let's Chat Show, and we'll be doing our own discussion here. And let me just throw it out there like I always do up on the show. Who's going to go in first on the matter? Is it appropriate to allow teenagers to have access to contraceptives? Guys.
I would say no, it's not, because as a teenager that's between the age of 13 and 19, if I'm right, you should prevent yourself from having sex. However, we're in the millennium, and the century that we're in, of course, these kids are they're older than their age. Their brains are like literally sexual brains are so you know, in a different level. So I believe that, yes, it's supposed to be available for them. We need to make it available for them, because no matter how much you talk to them, they're still going to do what they want to do, especially when a kid has been held back, you know, trying to test waters, you know, and try to be with certain friends, and the parents are saying no. When they get an opportunity, they'll go out and do it. No, it shouldn't be available, but because of the age that we're in, it should be.
Okay. Who else is also going to have anything to say on that as well? So we.
Well, I think being a teenager between the ages of 13 and 19 is a period of one's life where there's a lot of curiosity, and so there's that edge to experiment everything that is new to you. So I think that with that desire to experiment, to get to know about new things, getting to go into relationships for the first time, everything, I believe with the rise of teenage pregnancies and the spread of STDs, particularly amongst the teenagers, I believe that, yeah, they should be allowed to have access to it. That is what I believe.
Okay, so I'm going to ask that question. I think there are more questions that will be popping up as we share our own individual views on it. So let me move to Agnes. Agnes, what is your take on this as well? Is it something that is advisable? Should we allow teenagers to have access to contraceptives? You know.
In as much as I would like to say no, I can't, because we are in an age where kids are no more kids. Okay, if you don't open up to them as a parent or as an elderly person among them, and let them know if they can abstain, from sex, which is the best thing, they should rather protect themselves. For me, I would rather advise for them to use condoms other than contraceptives, because contraceptive doesn't protect you against, how do you call it, sexually transmitted diseases, okay? So I rather advise condom use than the pills for the women and all that. So yes, we have to allow them have access to contraceptives.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me move on to Lydia. Lydia, you are a mother. You think it's advisable to allow your kids, have access to these things, contraceptives, condoms, and all that stuff in their teenage days?
Well, this topic, there is no right or wrong answer to this topic, and I personally would say no, because yes, we are in an age, we are in the millenniums, and a lot is happening. One, I believe Abby said that, the kids' brain are older than them, than how they look. I will prefer, as a parent out there, you brought the child to the world. You should be able to take care of the child. So what I'm trying to say is, as a parent, you should have time. And that is where, again, as a parent, sometimes we fall short on that, having a discussion with our kids. I came here when I was young. My parents, like I said earlier, that they have your typical mentality, Ghanaian mentality. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to live with, because I came to high school here, I had, over here they have something, a sleepover. So I had the opportunity to have a few sleepovers here and there. And I remember the mother was a nurse, right? And she spoke to us, talked to us about sex. And honestly speaking, that was the first time I was hearing a parent talking about sex, because in our culture, it's like a taboo. You can't talk about sex. You can't even breathe sex. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that the lady spoke to us, it was 5 girls, spoke to us about sex and really explained to us and showed us and told us about, okay, if you have sex, this is what's going to happen. If you don't take care, a baby is going to come in, and you are a baby. So a baby coming in is going to be hard. And that's when teenage pregnancy also comes in. So I personally took a lot from what the lady was telling us, and I learned from her. And I was happy and appreciative that she took the time to explain to us. So I feel like if you are a parent out there, it's very uncomfortable talking to your kid about sex. But I believe that if you educate your kid, if you tell them, because my household, it was no sex, point blank, period. No explanation, nothing. The fear of having sex was put in our heads as an early age. So it was very, very difficult for me and my siblings to even think about sex, or to even think about, oh, I need to go buy condoms. And to be honest, I didn't even see a condom until I was about 18, when I was going to college. And I experienced it, and I was like, okay, so this is what a condom looks like. So I believe education is the key. And if parents could take a few time and just explain certain things to their kids, it can be preventable. It's very hard, but it can be preventable.
Yeah, let me move on to our guest that we have today, Edmond Ofori. What do you also think concerning the issue that we are discussing today?
Okay, so like we said, contraceptives, and we look at the teenager between the ages of 13 and 19, and you see at this point, these are people who are psychologically traumatized. They need some sort of guidance. They need some sort of direction. They can't take decisions for themselves at this stage. And this is the period where they always want to learn and explore. And some of this exploration comes from the drive for, let me put it like sexual activities. So, we learned in school that basically when such people are not given attention by parents, they try to get answers from friends. And sometimes it goes to the extreme of getting answers from the opposite sex. And so at this point, this is the time such a person needs some attention, such a person needs some guidance. And contraceptives in this case should be one of the things that you have to educate them about. You let them know that these things are used for these purposes, but that does not mean that you should use them. But then if in case something like this is supposed to happen, then these are some of the things you can do. And just like Selasi said, condoms, at least we have people who are in this bracket that still don't know how to use condoms. So I say that they are even ignorant about the use of condom. So like we said the other time, a mistake, something that you are ignorant about, how do you even use it? So if they don't use it properly, that is where the bursting comes, and then it results into something that they are not expecting. So I would say that at this point, they need guidance, they need direction. We need to let them understand. We need to teach them some of these things. They need to know the use of these contraceptives. Even the contraceptives we are talking about have consequences. They have, side effects. You need to let them understand all these things. Sometimes it's about choices. When you lay the facts before them, the good side and the bad side of the thing, they decide. It means that I don't need to use this. So like we said, you can't force people to do what you want them to do. You can only tell them not to do it. So Abby said that abstinence is the best. But let me say, a child who is in the bracket of a teenager goes to school. You can't follow the person all the time, going to check what they are doing in school, what they are doing with their friends and all sort of things. But when you give them that education and they know what they are about, I think it helps. Some of these kids don't even know when they are, menstruating. And so all these things, if we are able to teach them, I think it will help them a lot. And in my opinion, it's good to let them know the use of contraceptives and what the contraceptives are going to do for them. Yeah.
Okay, Edmond, I have a question. In your submission, I mean, in your opening, you said that kids of that age are psychologically disturbed. Is that the word you use, the phrase you use?
Traumatized, yeah.
Okay, traumatized. I'm a bit lost here. In what sense? Yeah, okay, psychologically traumatized in what sense?
So like their thinking, I mean, ability is affected. Just as I said, if you want to find out something, I think the best person to ask is someone who has experience. For example, if I need to learn something, the best person for me to ask is an elderly person who has learned a lot in life. I can't go to my colleague and ask because I don't expect that person at that point to know what I need. This is where the psychological issues come. They don't think outside the box to know that their colleagues don't have answers to some of the things they want to know. For example, if you go to ask your colleague about what will happen if you have sex, I don't think this is the right person to ask such a question. You should ask your parents or probably an elderly person you trust or you can, confine in that this is what I'm feeling. Maybe at a point I feel for sex, but I want to know if this drive takes me to having sex, what will happen? Okay, so my psychological issue here is their thinking capacity is affected. They don't think outside the box to know that at this point, this is not the right person for me to even ask such a question. Yeah.
Edmund, but I also have a question there. Our culture is not allowing us to have that open conversations with our parents or with our elderly people. So how can we go to, if we are psychologically challenged or whatever, how can we go to our parents or an elderly person and say, hey, can I talk to you? I'm thinking about sex and what do you think? Like, so the slaps you are gonna get, you will forget the question.
Or the tone of what I say, yeah.
Yeah, you can't tell that the things, the insults that will come along, you yourself and I. So we don't have that privilege. It's not like we're in the States here where the parents are the one that talks to the kid. If we're talking in general, so some cultures you dare not talk about sex.
Yeah.
So in this case, where are they going to get the information if not their friends?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So you see. So if we are really, talking about culture here, then it means this aspect of culture needs modification. This aspect of culture needs some work, because if this is someone going through something and you don't expect the person to ask, how do you expect the person to, handle such an issue? And you see, these teenagers, they don't, like I said, they don't have the ability to analyze things as, let me put like some adults. And so that part of the culture, I think, should be our issue to base on that. We should allow the children to be able to come out to us as parents, as guidance, to be able to ask some questions for us to give them answers, to be able to, get over some of these things. Because like I said, if they ask their friends, they are going to give them some answers they shouldn't give them. Excuse me to say, I've worked with some friends in the past that, they will do certain things, and when you question, they will be like, you get it. So if at the point I feel like all my friends are doing all this, why don't I also do it? You get it. But if I was able to get the opportunity to confide in my parents, or let me say an elderly person, this is what I feel. But sometimes when I talk about it, this is what my friends say. No, they are not saying the right thing. They are not telling you this is the right way to go. At least it helps. So I think that part of the culture in our part of the world, we need to work on it.
Okay. True, but it's what everybody's grown up to know. So how are you going to change it now? Like everybody that has grown in Ghana and Africa right now on that level whereby I can about sexuality. I cannot talk about sexuality with my child. So it's not something that I can change. Now it has to be changed from either as our generation, which people in our age right now who are having kids also feeling the same way because we're brought up that way. So it's going to be difficult to go to that aspect. So when I say abstain, yes, I would love that abstinence, but no, you cannot really push it on somebody because they still want to try it. There's some people who are curious. You can raise a child. Have you heard people say, I've done this for my child, I've done this, and they still went out to do this. If a child is curious and want to do anything, no matter what you do for them, give them the whole world. If they want to try something, they will still do it. So yeah, it should be there and available for them to use if they have to. They have to know why it's supposed to be used to protect them.
I would also add that it shouldn't only be the parent who is supposed to guide the child or introduce the child to sex education. I remember when I was in high school, my teacher back then taught us a whole lot about sex. I mean, as at that age, I knew what sex was, menstruation and all that, okay? And it did me a lot of good, you know? So it shouldn't only be about the parents teaching the child. It should also come from the churches. They have teachers in church, children's, how do you call it, departments, youth departments and all that. Those in churches should also teach, leaders in churches also should teach the children, as well as teachers in schools. It shouldn't only be from the parents. I mean, if we all come together to do that, it's go a long way in helping the teenagers.
And you know, one thing also is this, you know, I'm a teacher, and there are certain times you don't expect these little kids, as little as they are, you see them demonstrating certain acts and you'll be like, where did they learn it from? You get it?
From us, from TV, from social media, exactly. From us. Exactly. They learn from us, whatever they see.
You get it? So indirectly, we do certain things that these kids pick and we are not aware. Then at the end of the day, we try to say that they shouldn't come to us to ask about sex or to ask about sex education. So if they go out, the indirect things that they pick from us, how do we expect them to unlearn those things? So you see, just as you said, the teachers also have some work to do in schools. But mentioning church here, I have an. Is that allowed?
For the church, abstinence is supposed to be taught in the church.
Yes,
I mean, you don't expect a church teacher to come and tell the child that go have sex or use contraceptives or use condom. No.
But Celeste, no one mentions that go and have sex or use contraceptives. Everyone advocates for abstinence. But the point is, just as Abby said, I earlier said that you can't force certain things on people because sometimes they go places you don't follow them. And you see, there's this problem with the African children that we need to also focus on, which is when they see that you are not around, they try to take advantage to do certain things they feel if you're around they can't do. Okay, now that is another issue here. How do you control that? How do you get them to know that they don't need to do this? Meanwhile, when you are not around, they do those things. So even if you're around, how do you control it? How do you get them not to do certain things when you are not around? You see, so no one advocates for contraceptives, or let me say for anyone to take care or to be vigilant and have sex. No, but at the end of the day, as I said, there are surely bad nuts among every group of people, okay? And so these bad nuts will surely get some of these children or these good ones to join them. And so this is the issue here. We need to be factual. We need to let the people know that this is the issue. And that is one problem we are facing. We are not factual. You see, it's just like we beat about the bush, and at the end of the day, we don't hit the main point. The point is, if you are talking about abstinence, then let them know that if they should have sex, this is what is going to happen, and that is the outcome. Okay? Of course. Exactly. But if we are talking about abstinence, we don't mention the fact that if you do it, this is what will happen. We try to tell them that don't do it. If I don't do it, what happens? Or if I do it, what happens? You are not telling me what is involved in when I do it. You are just telling me I shouldn't do it. And you know, these kids are, I mean, let me put it, curious. They want to know, hey, why are they saying I shouldn't do this thing? Let me do it and see. You get it?
Well, as Lydia said, sorry to cut you in, as Lydia said earlier, she said that as a parent, we are supposed to do more, do better. You know, I don't have a child yet, okay, but I mean, I have a lot of kids that call me mom and all that. I feel that we are supposed to build up that relationship with them, that they are able to open up to us. All right. If a child, if how do you call it, another person touches a part of you that, I mean, your private part, be bold enough to let a person know, I don't like that. And also be able to come and tell your parents that, mommy, daddy, this person did that to me. When I went to school, this mate of mine did that to me. I mean, let's create that environment for them to be at ease and also open up to you, no matter how hard it is. And also let them know that sex is sex. If you have sex, you get pregnant. If you have sex, you might, you know, contract this disease. Let them know. We as you said, let's be factual. Let's be real with them. Let's not beat about the bush. I mean, there's this joke that says that, sorry to bring this in, but there's this joke that a parent told their daughter that the private part of a man is stick, okay? It's a stick. Oh no, it's a leg. Sorry, it's a leg. So they go at Vista, and then the child was like, "Daddy, please take your private part out of the way I want to pass in front of the Vista." So instead of me telling them what a penis is, sorry to bring it in, but instead of me telling them what a penis is, you rather use a different part of the body for that, and it was such an embarrassment. Okay, let's be factual. Let's be real. This is it. Teach them. Let us teach them what sex education is, so they'll be aware right from the word get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were saying something that we should teach them. So as much as the information and everything or the education is going, is it 100% yes that, okay, as we are teaching them, they are going to exactly stop automatically, or we shouldn't expect that 100%?
That's not
well. No.
When
no,
a child is curious. Back home, exactly. I know young people that will want to sleep with a young girl and tell me, buy you this. Mm-hmm. You know, and then they'll do it because they want that candy or whatever it is. So it can be talked about. You can talk to your. My thing is, I'm against all of it. Like, don't have sex between your teenage life. You're supposed to have fun with your friends. This is when you do, you have play alukoto and play, have mama and dada with your friends. This is like the younger part where you have fun. You think about sex shouldn't be, but because of what people do now, it's more like, yes, you can tell your child everything. The question, will they abstain? No. A curious child is always going to do whatever they want. If a child has bad friends who influence them negatively, they will do it and they'll listen. So you can do all that, but will it stop?
Because I'm saying this because I belong to the old school, and then I belong to the old school, and there were certain structures being laid down for you as a person. You did not shift from it. They made you understand that, listen, at this time and at this period, it's all about you and your books. You need to learn this, that. So you got exposed to these things after, let's say, when maybe you are out of your secondary school, you're in your colleges and all. That is when you get exposed to it. And I feel like that system has been good. Even though at that time we're not bold enough to really talk to our parents concerning this sex education. I think maybe if we go back to it a bit, but then we should find a way to pair a bit with the sex education to give that information to our teenagers in that way. I think it's really going to help because, listen, the information is still going, but we still record high rate of, teenage pregnancy. We still get the rapes. We still get everything going on. So what is happening to that education and that information?
I'm quite confused here, Kovac.
Well, I'm saying that the informations are going on, but then we are still recording high rates of these things like teenage pregnancy.
What information?
The information of telling teenagers that, listen, it is not appropriate to be making love within your teens and all that stuff. you know. And yes, still we are recording high rates of teenage pregnancy, especially if you go to the slum areas, you know, and especially that is where the education is even there most, but then they still record it. So what is happening? What happens to that information? That is what I'm asking. That education that people who are there to give this young.
Let me try to come in. Now, there is a lot of socialization going on. And if you read a bit, they'll tell you that socialization is passing on of character or traits from one generation to the other. And there are types of socialization. We have the primary, where you learn from the home, from your parents and your siblings. And then the secondary socialization, where you learn from the outside environment, that is from your friends in school, at churches and other social gatherings. And then we also have the tertiary socialization, where you learn from your role models. Okay. Now, unfortunately, primary socialization, which is supposed to be from the homes, the parents and your siblings at home, is the least recognized one. Even though you are home, you're going to learn certain things from the home. But most often than not, we tend to learn from our friends, okay? We tend to learn more from the schools, more from our role models. Now, if my role model is trying to tell me that, well, if my role model is portraying sexual characters, like we have, these are hip-hop musicians, we have Nicki Minaj, we have Cardi B's, who have lots of teens following them. Now, if Cardi B says, well, I am a stripper, I do this, and I get money, and my mommy is telling me not to do it. Now, do you think the teen is going to listen to the mother or the father and then leave Cardi B alone? No. Now, then again, I have come across a couple of people who say that my mommy says sex is not good, this, that, you should get married before sex. But then they remember that when they look at their parents' wedding pictures, they are standing right in front of them. So do you think if a parent says don't have sex, they are going to listen? Personally, I don't think it's a lot of people are going to listen. It's not going to happen. So in order to avoid, to try to prevent it, give them the contraceptives. Just in case you're not able to do it, have it.
Well,
okay.
Joseph, that is when I believe, like Salati said, that the teachers are there, the parents are there, the churches are there. You know what I'm saying? So if a parent is having a wedding and they look at the pictures and, hey, look at me, I'm standing right next to my mom. How can my mom tell me I can't have sex? They did their deeds. They did what they did to have the kid. So now they're teaching their kid not to do what they did. All right. You can, Abby said this, you can explain it to a kid, but if a kid is curious, their mind is going to wander. All right. So then again, now the parent did their part of explaining, hey, don't have sex, don't do this, don't do that. They go to school. Teachers are explaining to them, hey, if you have sex, this is what's going to happen. Do this, use this, use that. Then the church come in. And if the church comes in, I believe that if a church comes in with the help of the teachers and the parents, it will somehow help the kid. But again, a kid's mind is out there. They will do whatever they want to do. I will use myself as an example. When my parents told me, hey, it's 3 girls, all right? I have 2 other older sisters, and my parents told us from the get-go, from the beginning, no sex, you can't have sex, this is what's going to happen. And my father is a soldier man and put it in us, I'll kick you out. You know, that fear, it was a fear. I know my dad wouldn't do that, but he installed that fear in us. And then we also went to church, and church also explained it. So like I said, this subject is a little iffy because you don't know what a person is going to think. You can educate them as far as you can or as more as you can. It's a saying that you can force a horse to a riverside, but you can force it to drink it. So we can install, the churches can install, parents and teachers can install in the kid, but if they do not apply that information, it's a waste of time.
But to an extent, though, it can help. You know,
Lydia,
the Bible says,
you made mention that your dad instilled fear. Don't you think that is the number one thing that we as teenagers, or we the general people, like, that is what we listen to, the fear of it? Because now look at COVID, for example. Now COVID is all over, and then people are living the fear of it, and so people are doing the right things. At first, you're not going to get yourself hand sanitizer or a face shield, whatever it is. But you see, the fear of hearing the name COVID say, "Oh, it couldn't nipa." You see, people are now keeping upping up their game and trying to do what is right. So I'm feeling that, yes, why don't we go back to the old school system, whereby the fear was there, and so it did not allow we the
system. Correct. Old school.
Access.
We can go back to old school system. There is no problem with that. We can do that. But then social media is not allowing us to go back to the old system. Social media, like Joseph said, you have Cardi B, you have Nicki Minaj, you have all these people where Nicki Minaj is singing about anaconda or whatever that the situation is. And right now, Cardi B new song is all about sex. You know what I'm saying? A parent, a teacher, and a pastor can do so much. At the end of the day, I always say this: my kids spend only a few time with me than when they go to school. They spend almost 8 hours in school. When they come home, all they're doing is they're eating their snack. Now they're young, but let's say they're older. When they come home, all they will do is straight in their room. Hey mom, how are you? Whatever. You ask them how school is. They go straight to their room. They do whatever they want to do. You can monitor them. You can put apps on their phone, their computer. But at the end of the day, they are outside in school more than they are with you at home. And if your kid is also working at the age where they work, like the 16s, you basically don't see your kid. You know what I'm saying? We can do that, but it's going to be hard because right now social media is everything.
But as much as social media is everything, people are still trying to tow it in the right direction. Can't we also have that same, or can't teenagers also do the same as well? Because as much as it can have a negative impact on teenagers, don't you think it's also proper that, okay, now that it has a positive side of it, they can use that positive side to be able to gain the knowledge or wisdom of it?
Okay, so Kobe, you see, one thing is it's just like this. Right now, as I'm home, I can be controlled by my parents. Okay, let's say my parents can ask me not to use a phone. They can do that, and I have no option. But let's say, can they control a friend in school not to use phone? You see, so sometimes one side can work. For example, my parents can work on me. But once I leave home and I go to school, I meet different people. And these people are maybe not under any control, just as I am. We have such, times where you go to school and your friends bring phone, and then they will be pressing you, go and sit by them. You also want to look at what they are doing, even though you don't have a phone, but you want to look at what they are doing. So the influence here, just as Auntie Lydia said, is higher because you spend more time with these people outside there than you spend with your parents at home. So you come home and you pretend as though you don't have a phone, you don't do anything social media, but you go out there, you meet people who have phones, and you try to, sometimes you even take their phones to log into your own Facebook account, and then you surf a little, you log out, you go home, you don't do anything, or you come out again. Those days, people have accounts on social media, though they don't have phones. So if we want to control it, it will be very difficult for us to control once we are able to expose ourselves outside there.
Okay, so now
I think letting teenagers have access to contraceptives does not necessarily mean go out there and have sex. Okay? So,
but don't you think you are promoting that? Because if you are giving them access, don't you think you are promoting, you are telling them to go out there and have sex?
No,
you're telling them. We're educating them.
No, that's what I'm saying. We are educating them, but we're also telling them that it is fine. Go out there and do it.
No, it's what
go back.
You don't. Use this. No.
There are a number of parents who have had personal counselors for their kids. Okay, they have said everything. They have had gotten them counselors. They have done everything possible. But these parents still feel very insecure. Okay, to the extent that they have created catfish accounts and they are monitoring their kids on social media. So my child knows that my Facebook name is Kofi Amuakon. And so why don't I create another one with Emmanuel something and try to get to know how the child is thinking. And so a lot of these things are going on. So if you are going to feel insecure about your kids, then why don't you just make it accessible to them?
Okay, so I would like to add to this too.
I cannot recall the title of the movie I'm going to talk about, but the father even gave his son when he was stepping out, and the child was like, what am I going to use this for? So somebody will have it and will not use it for anything. Another person that you think, oh, I think my son is a good boy, my daughter, they don't need this. And these people are dressing like saints at home. The moment they step out, they take that off, and then the real one is under it. They go out there and have fun. And you are home, you are thinking, oh, my child is the leader in the choir at church, so I don't think she's going to do anything. These dangers are there. That is what we should try to address. And so if you are going to think just like these millennials, then it should be made access. You know, all of us, all ages, we are all like babies. If you want something today, they give it to you and you don't want it anymore. Just give it to them. They won't even go in for it. That's what I think.
Okay. Can I add something?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go the Christian way. Okay. As the Bible says, train up a child the way he or she should go, so that when he grows, he will not depart from it. Okay. I feel that in as much as they would want to explore and they're curious and all that, we should still continue to talk to them. We should still continue to train them. Okay. And also pray for them. Seriously, we really have to pray for them, because they might listen to you and want to do everything they want to do, but they go out there and there are wolves in sheep's clothing. There are people out there who would want to, sway them off the path you are trying to put them on. So we should always remember to pray for them as well, and pray that the grace of God guides them, because honestly, this world is now, I don't know.
Well, I believe
so that's what I want to add.
These are kids that are stubborn, because the way listen to everybody's input, I feel like you guys are more focused on kids that are probably that you're talking to them and they're not listening. It's probably
exactly
from what I'm listening to. But I would say this. I think some kids, when you see some kids that are just like those people that were like me, because I didn't have that conversation, never with my parents. They didn't have to sit me down and talk about anything. I wasn't curious. I wasn't pushing for it, nothing. Because, so I feel like because they saw that in me, it was a point of sitting down with me and talking to me about it. Some kids, when they're not even thinking about it, and then you go say, that's when I'm more curious. So yes, maybe you should talk about it, and I'm all for it. Education, yes, you know what it is. But if you don't, it shouldn't be like, oh, I go home, my mom says it. I go to church, my pastor says it. I go to school, my teacher says it. It becomes too much on that. It becomes more like, okay, what is now? I want to try. Maybe too much talking about it could push a child to do that. But if you see a kid that is not, when your child is not that person, you definitely know by the friends that they walk, they come around with, the people, or how they talk to. you know, and I feel like when you insistently saying it to a child might be curious. But I didn't have that, talk. I didn't have it, and I was not, pushing to do it anyway. So.
Well, I will.
Okay,
ask,
so
I will.
on this note, let's try and just go for a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Try as much as possible to follow us on our Facebook handle and also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It's all about Naventrix Media UK, and then just go up on YouTube, just click on the like button, and then you're on. Let's just turn ourselves, and then we'll be right back. We are back from our commercial break, and we are still here on Let's Chat Show. We're still talking about it. What are we saying today? We are asking the question: should teenagers have access to contraceptives, condoms, and all that stuff? Is it important? Is it a yes or is it no? We have the team doing the discussion here, and then you are hearing all their submissions that you are giving concerning this issue. What do you also think as you're watching us from anywhere across the world, in the comfort of your homes and in your offices and maybe your school or whatever it is? What is also your take on it? Should it be allowed for teenagers to have access to contraceptives and condoms? And these are things that we are talking about on here on this show. Let's chat. My name is still Colbeck, and I'm still, doing the dialogue with my team here. So for me personally, I feel like if we can go back to the old school days, where fear and the beatings were more, anything that you do, you chop beating. So it will bring you up to speed so that you quickly know what to do and what not to do, because at the end of the day, it helps you as a person. So yes, who else also has something to say?
Well, let me go. I will really add to what Salasi said about teach a kid a way to go, and then when they grow up, in the Bible verse. And I believe strongly that when we do that, and we add, like she said, when we add prayer to it, I believe everything and anything is possible with God. We live, the society now is so I would say dangerous, and is so what word? I would say it's so bad that the medias are, even in movies, you watch a movie and half of movies now are about kissing, sex, and so I personally believe that if we do teach our kids, if we educate them and we pray for them, all we can do as parents or teachers or whatever, all we can do is to educate and pray for them and hope that they will listen to you, that, God will be number one in their minds, in their heads, in their everyday life, so that they can stay away from it. Because I'm a parent and I am scared to death I have boys. I have 3 boys and a girl. And I am scared to death to know that my daughter or my son is going to go to school and, be doing all these stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I believe strongly that if we add prayer to it and we teach, they can hear us. They can hear what we are telling them.
Okay, so Kobek, on your issue of going back to the old school where fear and panic and beatings are instilled in them to be able to make sure they don't do all these things, I dare to differ because you see, just as Abby said, we are in the millennium, and this is the time where children's rights are really advocated for. These days, if you joke with any child, for example, you go into this beating and things. If you don't take time, some of these associations that fight for children's rights will come after you. Okay, so as Lydia said, the right thing to do is to talk to them, to educate them, and also put it into prayer, support them. God does everything. And so you try your best to do your part physically, and then you leave the rest for God to take care of it. At least no one can change any man except God. You can't change people's mind. Only God can do that. So just do your part, talk to them, give them the necessary education they would need, and then you leave the rest to God to handle, because actually it is what it is. We just doing our best. Yeah.
Yeah. To finalize my submission, I'll take myself as an example. Okay, growing up, the church had a lot of impact on me. Okay, I was attending Pentecost, so you know how Pentecost is, anyways. At that age, if you're a guy and you come close to me to ask even for friendship, I'll tell you no, it's not good. I mean, and when you move to relationship, I'll tell you no, it's a sin. In my mind, just a normal relationship is a sin, because definitely you're going to be having sex. So to me, it's a sin. I'll rather start preaching you and talking you out of it, So at that age, I knew that no, having sex and all that is detrimental to my future, because I'm probably get pregnant, and then what happens? It can actually mess up my future. So I just had to stay put and understand that at the right time, when I'm of age and I want to do whatever, yes, I'll do that. When I was going to senior high school, my daddy told me that. He sat me down and said, my dear, take me as your boyfriend, as whatever you want to have in a man. Talk to me, and take your book also as your boyfriend. Don't indulge in early sex and all those things. That stuck in me. I had at the back of my mind that, no, I don't want to disappoint my dad. I don't want to go against what God is saying. So let me just, do the right thing. After university, if I want to do it, I'm of age. I'm over 20. So, yes, we have to talk to them and also pray and have the belief that God will also do the rest. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Abiadi.
Well, I think we can go on and on about this, but definitely talking to your child, education, is going to go a long way. But I still stand and say that you can do whatever and talk to your child. No matter what you put it, the child says, I'm going to do it, the child is going to do it, So definitely they mentioned praying, and the child going to and getting education. Teachers, church, and parents will help. We just have to, trust that one day, maybe starting from our generation, we'll be able to stop that. Social media has gone a long way to manipulate our kids, and they're watching all this stuff, and, these teenagers are just, they want to be like that person they're seeing. They want to be like that slave people that you're seeing. So they're quick to do it, whatever it takes to get there. And, sometimes it's having somebody who is like your role model in your house. I could have an auntie who has lived, the life, and I look up to. They have to take somebody who's positive in their life, to be their role model to look up to, But I don't think that, not giving them or not talking to them about it, it all depends on the child. You can talk to a child about it, and then, they'll still do it. You can talk, in some cases you don't have to talk to them at all, and they'll grow up being, not believing because of what they've seen, because of their own, But sometimes it's also good to have a kid or a child or a teenager going through experience and learn from it, So, yeah.
Okay. Joseph.
I do believe that every stage of life has its own needs and wants. And just as adults would want to get employed and make money, teenagers have affection as their major needs. And so and this is the case whereby our parents, our mothers and our fathers are always running to work to get money. Okay, they don't have time for us. And so in order to get affection, we try to get it from elsewhere. That is boyfriends, girlfriends, because these days, if you leave out a mother and a father who calls their children on their phones, the major one or the other one that is a major caller will be a lover. Okay, it will be the boyfriend or it will be the girlfriend. And so, and that is where they find the affection. Now, they are doing this just because they cannot find it from their parents, because the parents are always busy trying to get money. Okay, and so there is very little that as a parent you could do to stop your kids from indulging in sexual activities. So I do believe that personally, after teaching my kids about the importance of prayer and hard work, I'm going to teach them about the importance of contraceptives as well.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. I'm sure it has really brought some good education to you, wherever that you're watching this from. People would have a different school of thought on all these issues that we're talking about. There's a school of thought that would say, yes, the kids should be allowed or should be introduced to contraceptives because it helps them. It's really going to help in their studies of all these things. Other school of thought will also say, yeah, they are not supposed to have access to it in their teenage days. And so I don't know what is going to be for you. I'm sure the conversation is still going to continue in your houses and in your various places, wherever that you're watching us from. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's helping? Or do you think it's really not helping at all if children should have access to contraceptives and condoms as well? This is Let's Chat Show. It's been powered by Noventrix Media UK. My name is Colbeck, and I did this with my team who made it possible for us to make this show a success. Thank you guys for making it a date to be part of this episode as well. And yes, we are about to sign out, and this is what we say. We say a big thank you to all the people that are making sure this whole thing gets to you, wherever that you're watching us, people behind the scenes, people that are working tirelessly to make sure, yes, this comes out good for us all. So then, same time, same place, let's meet up again on Let's Chat Show. Like we say, it's always a vibe up here. God bless.